What's your name?
Josie.
Where did you go when you went away for the year?
I went to Argentina, which is a country in South America.
What was your favourite food?
I really like the asados, which are like a big barbecue, and at the weekend all the family will get together. But instead of like how it is in England, they'll have a massive barbecue built in the house, and they'll often have a special room just for the barbecue. And they have lots of steaks and different sorts of meats and different sausages, things like that, and then they have it with salad. So it's nice because it's not just the food, it's also a nice event as well for the family.
Did you prefer it to the UK?
In some ways I did. I really liked it was really sunny and hot, which was lovely, and the food was good, and it was really interesting, and like it was a really interesting culture, and I really liked the music and things like that. But at the same time, it's still England's my home and where my family are and things, so you know, a mixture of the two.
What was the town or city called that you stayed in?
I stayed in a little city called Concordia, and it's pretty small, and it's on the river that's next to Uruguay. So if you look over the river, you can see Uruguay, which is the next country. So that was cool. But I lived in the city in Concordia, but I travelled every day on the school bus and went to this little school in a village nearby, and so I worked there in the school.
What were the differences from the UK?
Well, I think the most obvious difference is it's a much poorer country, so it was quite horrible because I hadn't been somewhere like it before, so I hadn't seen such poverty, and it's really sad because there's a lot of children, like at the school that I worked at, they don't have clean clothes, they don't have much food. Often like the parents can't come pick them up from school because they have to work, and some of the children didn't have parents at all and lived in an orphanage, so it was quite sad because you got to see sort of a different way of life. So that was very interesting.
What was the funnest thing you did there?
The funnest thing, I went on a trip to Iguazu Falls, and there's absolutely massive waterfalls. Like you get close and it's so noisy you just can't hear anything, and we went on a boat trip and we went underneath the waterfalls, and that was really cool. And there were monkeys and toucans and these little weird animals called coatis, which are sort of like a raccoon sort of animal.
What were the people's characteristics around there? Were there differences about the people?
I think what I found really is that people are the same wherever you are, you know, and I just thought there, the people, maybe it is because often they're a bit poorer, so they appreciate what they have. But the people were just really friendly and welcoming, and they'd always say, oh, come over for lunch, or come over for dinner, or come and stay if you want to, which was really nice. Because as I was on my own, it made me feel a lot more, you know, part of the community.
Did people sort of, what transport did they have? Did they like have bikes or did they have cars?
They had a real mixture, but definitely like they're not as safety conscious as they are here. So you'd have almost a whole family on a motorbike. You'd have the parents and then a few children and then a baby all on the same motorbike. And yeah, and then lots of very old cars and things like from the 50s and the 60s, because it's a poorer country, they haven't had the money to replace it. But then you also get the very rich people, so they'll drive around in like beautiful new cars, but then you'll get people with really, really old rickety cars as well. And also lots of horse and carts and donkeys going around too.
Was it very busy in the town and on the streets and everything?
Yeah, it was pretty busy. It sort of depended when you went out because they have the siesta. So if you go out in the middle of the day or on a Sunday, there will be no one at all around. But if you go out at about 10 o'clock at night, because they stay up much, much later, like even if you're like really, really little, you'll stay up till like 2 in the morning or something. So yeah, so if you went there and you went to the Costanera, which was like this, the front, like the promenade with the river, and that bit was always really, really busy, and everyone just met there and just like, they drank mate, which is a drink that they have there. Sort of like a herbal tea drink, and like everyone drinks it and chats and just like socialises by the river, which is nice.
Things well maintained, did they keep things fresh and everything, or did they have most things powdered or whatever?
Do you mean like food?
Yeah, any sort of thing I did.
I think like in terms of like maintenance, it depended a lot on if people were rich or not. If the people had money, they'd have really lovely houses with really nice pavements outside and things. But it's sort of like here, if you walk outside, the pavement is all the same. There, like each person owns their bit of pavement, so you'll have one really posh bit and then one just with like loads of rubbish and things on because the next house is poorer, so there's like a real contrast.
Did you see any other animals in different biomes or stuff like that?
Yeah, there were another one when I went to Iguazu, which was really cool. There were loads of butterflies, but literally like the whole floor was just full of like all different types of butterflies, like bright blue ones and yellow ones, and they landed all over you as well. So you had like butterflies landing all over your arms. It was really weird, but it was cool. Yeah, that was really good.
What was your favourite word that they spoke in their language?
I don't know if I had a favourite word as such. I think sort of the way that they spoke was quite nice because they speak Spanish, but because lots of the people who come to Argentina, they were Italian as well. So they had a lot of Italian influences, and they said lots of words like che, so they had that word in between like every other word. They'd just say it all the time, sort of like we often say like or in between as a filler for words. They'd always say che. And then maybe like mate as well, because that was interesting because it was the herbal drink, but it was all sort of part of the culture and was really important to them. So are you thinking maybe in the future you'd like to go and live somewhere else, maybe that speaks a different language?
It seems quite nice. It would be new and it would be interesting.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to find. I like the differences about it, but I still like the place I am now, my home, better. But it sounds very nice. But
Yeah, I think maybe that's why a year abroad's quite nice because it's not for too long, so you can enjoy it, but it's not for so long that you start to miss home too much and things, which is nice.
so it's just like a change for you.
Yeah, and I think it's really good so you experience a different culture and understand how different people live.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And thank you to you too.